Hello, podcast followers. Thanks for watching the 5th episode of the Complete Solution Group podcast. Today, we have a great guest on, Adam Davenport, the co-founder of the National Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame. That's at www.nationalleohalloffame.com. We're really happy to have Adam on. John and I went last year to Ohio to the National Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame, and we were just totally struck about how great of an organization this is. They put on an absolutely wonderful, gala for everyone that was getting awards that night. And, being former law enforcement, both John and I are retired federal law enforcement officers. Just being out there and being able to see what they're bringing to the table, how they're taking care of the law enforcement community. I mean, it was just amazing. So their mission is to preserve the history of law enforcement, honor its excellence, and foster an appreciation for its historical development and its impact on our culture by collecting, preserving, exhibiting, and interpreting its collections for a global audience, as well as honoring those who have made outstanding contributions to the profession while providing mental health assistance to current and former law enforcement officers. And right there, especially that mental health component of that. I mean, it's just such an incredibly important part of what the National Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame does. And, I'm honored to have Adam on today, and, we're going to have a good show with him. John, what do you want to add to that?
Wow, Fab, that was well said. I just want to start off with a little quick story. Adam, I don't know if I got to tell you, and obviously Megan, your counterpart, the dynamic duo, is not with us today. So Megan, if you're listening, and I know you are, I hope you're feeling better, and we'll definitely do this again.
Feel better, Megan.
To talk to you again. But so when Fab and I went, Adam, we land in Detroit, and we go over and we rent this 2023 Chevy Tahoe. And we're driving to Toledo, and I never driven through Michigan before, so I'm watching the speed signs, and I look over at Fab, and I said, "Man, this thing drives really smooth." All of a sudden, lights come up behind us, and I think it's Wayne County, and they pull us over, and I said, "Fab, don't worry. Adam and Megan sent us a police escort to the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame. This is the type of people they are. They are going to." I go, "This is like top notch." So I pull over, and the guy gets out. I was about to say, "Hey, Adam and Megan, they know we're coming. Just get in front and just escort us there." Needless to say, he said driver's license and registration. And I was like, I go, uh-oh. So he goes back, and I tell Fab, I said, "Hey, when he comes back, should we say anything?" And, we're like, "Hey, maybe we can, just say, hey, we're actually heading over there, see what he says." He doesn't ask us anything, but he says this. He goes, "Hey, yeah, you're driving." He goes, "Look, I'm going to reduce the ticket so you don't get a point on your license." And I was like, wow. I was like, "Thank you, officer. I appreciate that." And just handed everything back, and he left. And I said, those are the type of people that don't get enough respect that they deserve day in, day out. You see them driving around, maybe they get a few waves, but their job is just so tough. And for what you guys do is a blessing to actually acknowledge all the hard work that these men and women do every day for us that, some of us, I think, take for granted. And for you guys to acknowledge them, it's a blessing. So again, Adam, thank you so much. And I'll just turn it over to you. And kind of, for the folks that are listening, and we were just talking before we started recording, there's a bunch of police departments out there and other law enforcement agencies that may not be aware on the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame. If you can, kind of tell us that story, how this all started.
Well, of course. And honestly, you guys introduced me better than I can introduce myself. So that's even better for me. But Adam Davenport, co-founder of the National Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame. We mentioned Megan Stockberg. She's a little under the weather. It is December here in Northwest Ohio that half of the area is sick. But yeah, Megan and I actually went to high school together. She was a year under me. I graduated in 01. She graduated in 02. And in 06, when I graduated, and actually we went to college together as well. We went to different major. But when I got done, I started at a company called Gorillas and Gazelles, and we had founded the Entrepreneurial and Business Excellence Hall of Fame, which is a regional Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan recognition event for entrepreneurs and business owners, and I started doing that, and I'm like, I don't know how the heck to run an event. I can run everything else, but I don't know that type of information. So in 2010, when I really took it over, Megan had just started Events by Megan, her little event coordination company. And I called her up. I said, Megan, I'm taking this over and I don't know how the heck to run an actual event. She had just started. And so we said, let's go. And that was in 2010. We actually just had that a month and a half ago. So we've been running that together for 14 years. And it was in 2016 at that event that her dad, Joel Shearer, who is retired Toledo Police Department officer, he said, you guys need to do this for law enforcement. And we're like, there has to be a Hall of Fame for law enforcement officers in the U.S. And after probably about a month of research, we were like, oh my gosh, there isn't. So within a month, we had website, we had trademarks, we had everything, all because Megan's dad, Joel, sat there and said, you should do this. And we're like, oh my God. So we started out real small. I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. We were trying to do it like the business event, but I think we had maybe 60 people at our first event. It was a luncheon. Luckily, we had all the contacts at a couple venues that we did. But yeah, we had 60, 65 people at our first luncheon. And then maybe, I think we doubled almost every year for the first few years. And in 2019, we went national. I mean, we had someone out there with us and they were like, you know what, guys, this is bigger than you can even imagine. You guys need to take this national. We're like, all right, let's do it. So we did that. And you guys, I know Sandra couldn't come, so hopefully she'll be able to come this year. You guys came last year, and I didn't grow up in law enforcement. No one in my family, nothing like that. So I didn't realize how close knit of a community. And John, like you said, the stories that we're looking for are the ones that are not on Fox News every day. We want to tell the stories and put out there that law enforcement is not bad. You know, yes, there are some bad apples, but there are bad apples in every industry. So those are the stories that we want to do. And just some of the people that we've met through the years are just incredible. So one of the things that we did you guys get a chance to meet Sheriff Lamb last year? Okay, so Sheriff, now he's running for Senate as well in Arizona, so he's not going to be our MC. But one of the big announcements that we had is we've been doing this in Toledo, which is not the best logistics. Like you said, you have to usually fly into Detroit, rent a car, drive an hour south, figure out that stuff. So one of the things that we did was we moved it to Fort Worth, Texas. So now we're going to try and run this event to people with the help of vendors that we've used and sponsors and people like you guys that have supported us. And we're going to the Omni. It's going to be on March 22nd, 2024. One thing we couldn't do, and Fab, I know you know this for running for politician as well, as Sheriff Lamb cannot be our MC. So we actually had talked to a few people. And have you guys ever met Sheriff Bill Wayburn from Tarrant County?
No.
So
no,
he's going to be our new MC. And I don't know if there's many people that can make Fabricatory look small, but Bill Wayburn is like 6'5". I don't like standing by him. We took a picture with him. I'm like, don't need to do this anymore. But he's going to be our MC just because we're moving there and we want to have some local presence as well. We are, and you guys saw Dave Gray USA last year. We were like, we need to do something bigger. So we brought in a entertainment. And Dave Gray USA is a Marine Corps veteran. He's a entertainer, but very pro-police, pro-military. So we're bringing him back. So that, once again, that's going to be on March 22nd. But like we had said, we're just looking for the stories that aren't out there in the mainstream media. I mean, to this point, we've honored 36 LEOs and civilians from 16 states in 7 years. And we took 2 years off because of the dreaded COVID-19, because people were like, well, you should do it virtually. Like, no, we do not want to do that at all. We would rather take it off a couple years. And people have praised us for that because everyone went virtual. We're like, no, this is too big and too memorable for these law enforcement officers and their families and just the country, that we did not want to do that. So like we said, we've honored 36 LEOs. I mean, at the beginning, we were real small. We just did local departments. And then in 2019, we actually had, we honored posthumously a retired captain from Lee County, which is Fort Myers, Florida. And we were talking with his nephew. And honestly, he said, oh, we're having about 15 people drive up. I'm like, you're driving up from Florida? He said, oh, yeah. And they stopped off in Pennsylvania to see the 9/11 memorial and things like that. And they took their police car and a photo in front of our signs and everything. And I think it was truly at that point we're like, we have something here. This is something that we need to just keep telling these stories. And you guys saw last year, and we'll get into a couple of them, but we didn't realize how big this has already got, and this is coming from two, for the most part, no names out of Northwest Ohio. But it's,
Adam, one of the things that I really appreciated about you being there last year was you had all these people from all over the U.S. and you're honoring these law enforcement officers, but their families were also being honored. Like being able to see, children looking up at their dad when he's getting an award for Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame, and like just seeing how proud the families were to also be there. I mean, I think that was a huge component of it, and maybe you can go into a little bit of that, like the support also that's there for the families and stuff.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. And we, like you said, we didn't know that was going to happen. We thought, hey, there'd be a couple people that would fly in to present and the winner would be there. But then when we started getting the families and police chiefs from across the country, and I think one of the winners, Alec Iorato from Connecticut last year, from Bristol, Connecticut, their mayor flew in. And it's like, so we're getting politicians and, police chiefs and everything. I think we had, I think there was people from 23 states come in last year. And we're like, oh my God, this is just, it's so needed, because our main thing, and you read our mission, but our main thing is to tell the positive stories that are out there.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a it was a great event. I mean, you guys, it was so well put on. I mean, just the visual aspects, everything that you guys had there, how it was catered well. The after party, for law enforcement, it was just it was just a great event, Adam. It really was.
And we appreciate that. And it's just one of those things that we're just we want to build on. And, Megan and I, from day one, we've said, this is not about us. And we got pulled on stage by two of our good friends from Boston, and we'll talk about them. And we're like, no, we're not going on stage. This is not about us at all. And you guys saw that, but some people do like to put a face with the name. When you're doing a lot of this, when you're dealing with people from across the country, some people want to see that. But yeah, we're real excited about 2024, having people like you guys that are supporting. And what Megan knew a little bit, but I had no idea about, is how close and tight knit of a community the LEO community is. I would have never guessed, but that's why we want to get those stories out. I mean, some of the ones that we had where I mentioned the Boston boys is Dan Mahoney and Mike Best from Boston, Massachusetts, and they work different departments, but they started their own nonprofit the same year that we started this. And I always get this, it's a little tongue twister. It's called the LEO Support Foundation, and they offer free of charge quick clot kits and tourniquets, which every LEO knows what it is. To departments that can't afford them, they offer to them for free. And it's just like, oh my gosh, these are stories that we need to get out there. And these aren't NYPD that needs these. It's the small 8, 10, 15, 20 person department that has a budget of like nothing. So there's that one. One of our winners last year, and you guys were probably laughing at her because we love her, Cheryl McCollum. She received our Shear Remsburg Lifetime Achievement Award, named after Joel Shear, Megan's father, and Chuck Remsburg, who, if you're an LEO, you've heard of Caliber Press and things like that. He founded that. She was a blast, and she started the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute. She flies all over the country. I mean, if you go to their website and page, she's worked on Natalie Holloway. She just worked a lot on the Tupac Shakur investigation. It's been cold for 25 years? So she does all of that. One of our winners last year was Bill Lewinsky. He founded Force Science. Every LEO has probably taken a Force Science class in the past X amount of years.
Absolutely.
Johnny Castro, who was one of our winners last year, which I cried. I mean, I think everyone cried during this segment. And Dave Bray sings a song called Last Call about the last call of a LEO officer. And what Johnny Castro does, and he does this all in his own time and effort, is he draws portraits of any fallen law enforcement officer, which, hate to say, I think even last year was close to 200. I mean, it's very emotional, but he draws that and sends a portrait to that person's family. So we had Dave Bray singing Last Call and having all of Johnny's portrait on there. And I remember looking around and it's like,
not a dry eye.
It was not a dry eye. It was insane. Yeah. But those are those stories that are just going on. And we have 36 of them. So I would love to talk about all of them, but we don't have the time. But yeah, it's great what we're doing. I love it. We did start a nonprofit in January of last year because we were trying to do it for profit. And we were just like, you know what, this is too big for just sponsorships and trying to run this. And we were like, there are things that we need to do that can only be done through a nonprofit agency.
Yeah. So Adam, talk about how people can support you guys because to put on these extravagant, really great events really needs support. And, either corporate support, if it's small dollar support, talk about how people can reach out to you guys.
Well, the easiest way is just to go through our website. We try to do different fundraisers. And John, you mentioned earlier, it's www.nationalleohalloffame.com. And right now we have and this is one thing I didn't know and you guys knew, but challenge coins are huge within the law enforcement and military industry. So we did like a lot of other people, and we're selling those for about $20 a piece. But you can just go on and donate. It's all tax deductible because we're a nonprofit. And we've got some people that have donated $500 because they believe in our cause. But we've also got people that have donated $5. So it's one of those things that you guys know. And when you're growing this podcast, you're going to have support, and any dollar amount helps. But what we'd really like to do is just get people to the event. I mean, we raised the ticket prices a little bit just because of what we're doing. We're doing $100 for a civilian, but then we do a discounted rate for law enforcement, which is $75. Come to the event. I mean, like I said, we originally started with 65 people. Our goal is to get 500 next year. And if you can walk into an event, I mean, I know you guys have, but 500 people is a lot of people in one room to do, but we know we can do it just because of the passion that we have and the support like you guys. And some of our sponsors are Bear Arms Tactical in Ohio, but it's a firearm store here, but they've since gone on to be able to provide products through their website throughout the nation. The NRA is actually a big sponsor of ours. We got in touch through mutual connections with someone that's head of a big department there. And we've been in touch with him. And they even said they want to do a shooting competition next year. I'm like, okay, we're too far along for 2024, but we can talk for 2025. But that would just add something else that we're doing. We're offering, I think we have about spots for 20 booths this year that some of our bigger sponsors and people like you guys can get a booth and talk about your podcast and what you and your company, just to get your name out there through the use of us, because you guys are supporting us. One thing that we added this year, we had Cheryl McCollum last year, and I butchered the Southern accent, but she said, y'all, you need to add canines. So that's one of the things that we added this year. We're going to have a canine award.
Canines bring in donations, man.
Yeah, I mean, and Fox and Hound Canine Foundation, they've been 100% supportive of us and love what we're doing. We've been on different podcasts. It's it's so much to talk about because we get so passionate. But one of the best things that we've done, and we said this especially in the last few years, we've literally made lifelong friends with people like you guys and the winners. And we were talking a little bit before. I'm like, guys, utilize us to bring in people that you would like on your podcast. All it does is help everyone. Get your guys' name out, get our name out, all of that type of stuff. And you guys mentioned the mental health aspect. That is one thing that we're not there yet, but the main goal of another wing of our nonprofit, besides just putting on the induction ceremony, is to offer free and anonymous mental health care with a licensed clinician focused on LEOs. It's not out there. I mean, some of the stories that we hear, it's like, and you guys were both LEO, like you go see a suicide, and I know it's kind of dark, but you go see a suicide and you might get an hour off, and then you're back on the street. Whereas other industries, you go see a suicide, they give you a couple of weeks off for grief counseling and things like that. And from what we've heard from a couple different departments is it's not done well. They just check boxes. They're like, oh, here you go, fill this out. Half the time you're spent filling out paperwork versus talking of what you need to do and what you need to do to get over what you just saw. And this is everywhere. We talked to people in Toledo, and I just heard from one of our winners past year, and like, yeah, I'm just just coming back from a suicide. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's something that I don't understand because I've never been in law enforcement. I've never been in the military. But these are those things that people aren't talking about. And those are the important things that people need to understand. That's a daily job and daily occurrence for LEOs.
Yeah, and thank you.
Something, Adam, on that. In the agency, when we're working, you would see these emails come out saying this officer in whatever office passed away, but you don't realize it was suicide until you reach out to their leadership saying, hey, our condolences, is there anything we can do to help? And they'll end up telling you, yeah, this officer committed suicide. And it's sad, that happens, but also too, it's that, those dark kind of secrets where we don't even tell the other people in our own agency, hey, this person committed suicide, where it needs to be, to me, vocalized so other officers realize there is help out there. There are people who can talk to you and want to talk to you and help you and realize that there is a path forward that does not end in suicide. So that's the one thing where I think that mental health issue needs to be discussed more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're listening to everyone about what we know, and Megan just hears so much more about it because, like we said, her father just was able to tell her about it. And there were times that he would come home after a shift and he wasn't able to just go in the house right away. He had to sit there and be like, look, I got to gather my composure. I have 2 children and a wife, and I just had a shitty ass day. Sorry for my French, but I have to go home to my family. So we've just learned so much more about that. But it's fun to do what we're doing. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to tell you. And we've never made a dime, and we've been doing this for 7 years. And it's, like we said, it's not about us, but kind of you said, what can you do to support? I mean, I was telling you guys before, it's going to double our budget to be able to put this event on. And you guys were there last year. This is not some rinky dink little, hey, you go and there's 2 little things here. No, we go all out because that is what our law enforcement officers deserve. And they don't automatically and necessarily get that for other events they go to. Here's your little chicken lunch, and here's a little recognition. No, we brought in entertainment. We get nationally known people. It's fun talking to Sheriff Bill Weber, and he's like, oh, we know a couple people that we'll reach out to, and he says, and we're like, if you can get that person there, that'd be incredible, because it brings forth some celebrity status, and I'm not going to say names because they haven't bought a ticket yet or coming under a sponsorship, but it's just one of those things that we're excited about going down to Texas and moving. And one thing about going to Texas, it's centrally located. I think you guys have probably been to Fort Worth numerous times, and it's a half hour from the airport to downtown Fort Worth. And we didn't even know, because one of our board members is Banning Sweatland. I think you probably met Banning last year. He's actually put in his candidacy for run for sheriff for Jack County. And I mean, this guy is everywhere on LinkedIn. I mean, he's probably one of the most well-known LinkedIn people ever, but especially in the LEO industry. He's like, you guys need to come down here. And he told us how big Fort Worth is, and like, it just doesn't have that feel. I can't remember, it's either the 13th or the 17th biggest city in the nation. But when you go there, it still kind of has like a small town feel. But I think in some of it, me not being there besides a couple times, is that's just Texas, you know? But yeah, it's one of the last few things I'd say is, you know, you guys have been to the event. We've been trying building, but now we're in the growing phase. You know, we are in the, what can we do? What can we offer to our people coming in that no one else is offering? You know, and there, I mean, we have certain plans for things I'm not going to mention on air because nothing's come to fruition right now, but big things that would really help these LEOs come and do our event. We do what we can. I mean, the first couple of years when we did lunch, every LEO came for free. We didn't charge them. Now, a little different having people fly in from Maine to California to Texas. I mean, like we said, there's 23 states last year. I mean, we had a nomination from Alaska last year. We're like, how the heck did you hear about us? And so it's fun to read all these stories. And I will say, because some people are like, well, what's the process? You know, our process, because we are actually closed for nominations this year because we're 3 months away. But the process is, you go to our website, there's a nominate page, you fill out the form. If there's other information, I mean, I know do they do CVs in LEO in law enforcement? Like curriculum vitae, it's basically like resumes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we ask for that information. So because we've got nominations before there. Hey, this guy, he's a good guy. Not doubting you, but we need a little bit more.
Yeah, explain. Yeah.
Explain a little bit. You know, have they won other awards? What have they done for the community and just things like that? But yeah, it's all done through our website. And we do have an independent panel of judges because Megan and I can't do this. You know, our independent panel of judges this year are all law enforcement officers, but past winners. So they've known and they've seen what we're looking for. You know, and it's not just because we've had many different awards. I mean, like we said, we have the Sheer Remsburg Lifetime Achievement Award. Dan Mahoney and Mike Best were partners in partnerships awards. Courage and Service Award, Distinguished Service Award. It's just is because we own everything. If someone comes up and we're like, oh my God, that's a whole different type of honor and recognition, we can create that. You know, because there's so many industries out there that are, here's our 4 awards, that's it. Like, no, not everyone's going for the same thing. And you guys had mentioned too, and you guys are a huge supporter of us, and we try to do whatever we can for you guys, but we are in that phase of building partnerships. You know, we've learned, especially in this industry, it's who you know. And it kind of gets used a lot, but it's a really, and I said it earlier, a tight-knit industry that we want to build partnerships with organizations and with people and departments that are mutually beneficial for both of us. You know, how can we help you? That's what Megan and I talk every time we're in the office together. We're like, what can we do to help the people that are supporting us? Yeah. And right now it's not like, hey, here's a $50,000 check, but hopefully through the use of our nonprofit, at some point it is.
Hopefully it will be. I mean, you guys definitely deserve it. Like I said a couple of times, you guys have put out, something great that needs to be supported. So anyone that's listening to this after we post it, look, if you have it in your heart that this is something that you want to support, reach out to them through their website, reach out to Adam, reach out to Megan, let them know that you want to support, show up down in Fort Worth. I mean, the event is worth it to see. And you'll be supporting the men and women in blue, and it's a great time. It's a good thing to support. They need your support. So if you can give anything and you can support the National Law Enforcement Officer Hall of Fame, I would say definitely do that. Thanks, Adam. We really appreciate having you on. It's been great getting to know you guys over the last year and a half, and we're going to continue to build that relationship with you. Unfortunately, I can't make it this year. I'm going to be hunting in New Zealand at exactly the same time your event is going on. So, but I will be there the year after. This is definitely something I'm going to continue to be involved with. But John and Sandra are going to be there. And, I know that they'll be sending me pictures across the ocean. John will be texting me the whole time. So I will be there in spirit. So, again, thank you.
You better be sending pictures of what you're getting.
I will.
That too.
I'll send you guys some pictures.
Yeah, Adam, I just want to say again, thanks for taking the time with us. Truly appreciate it. And Megan, I know you're listening. We'll get you on before that. And just remember, it's www.thenationalleohalloffame.com, March 22nd, 24. Save that date and definitely show up in Fort Worth. Everything's big in Texas, so I know this one's going to be big. And just one last quick question. Have you guys noticed an uptick in the participants showing up or asking to participate in the awards? Have you guys seen like an uptick in that?
We have. I mean, we are just the number of nominations and things like that. And like we said, when we first started, we had a couple nominees from one state, and now we're getting 30 plus states being nominated. So yeah, we are seeing that. But as we said, we're still small. But we're doing everything in our power and position to make those relationships with the people that can help us grow, as well as us help them grow as well. Kind of like you guys. I mean, we found each other kind of by accident a little bit. And I know I didn't really get they sat there and told me last year, like, Adam, we tried to get you, but you were running around with your chicken with the head cut off. I'm like, yep, that's what putting an event on does. So
yeah, this year for sure. This year for sure, we'll sit down and have a beer and talk. But again, thanks for joining. If there's anything else, actually, what we're going to do too is we're going to try to promote, because we need all 50 states to start participating in the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame. And then I'll give you another idea you should think. Then there's a federal government, to get the rest of those guys out there. And that's something where Fab and I, every year we would have to nominate officers. And in the federal government, just in our agency, there are a ton of just heroic things that are being done, the great work. And it's something where it's only one prize, but there's all these nominees. So we'll do our best here to promote the message as well. But again, thanks again for taking the time with us. And we will definitely see you in March.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Talk to you soon, Adam.
Okay.